Well, good morning. I am Anita Bachman, and it is my honor to serve as the chair of the board of the Community Foundation of Greater Greensboro. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our virtual annual meeting being recorded in the Carolyn and Maurice LeBauer City Park. This park was made possible from a request of Carolyn LeBauer, who entrusted the Community Foundation with fulfilling her dream of building a new park for everyone and giving it to the city. This park has quickly become a welcome home to all children and families from across the community. And usually you would hear laughter all around. And we look forward to those wonderful sounds returning to our park very, very soon. You know, around this time last year in 2020, I don't think any of us could have imagined what was about to unfold. We were looking forward to celebrating the opening of the Tanger Center in March, and we quickly had to pivot into relief efforts to help our community cope with the efforts of our virus that none of us had even heard of. But I am so proud of the role the foundation has played in so many parts of our community this year, working with you and many of our partners. The trust that you place in us as your charitable partner is greatly appreciated and valued. And the impact that we are having together will be felt for many, many years to come. Here are a few of our collective accomplishments from 2020. Our staff and several board members worked with the city, United Way, Chamber of Commerce, the Guilford Merchants Association, and many others to help our community address some unprecedented challenges due to COVID-19. And in partnership with the United Way, we raised over $2.5 million for the Emergency Response Fund and the Virus Relief Fund. And with additional federal monies from the CARES Act awarded to Guilford County, we were able to successfully meet most of the needs our nonprofits had requested. And we know this work has just begun, and it's very encouraging to know how we can come together as a community to address any challenge that we face. And with a large amount of stimulus funding coming to our community this year, this collaboration has never been more important. You know, in addition, we launched a major new initiative, the Black Investments in Greensboro Big Equity Fund, which has immediately had an impact on bringing together major Black donors. And this is the largest effort of its kind in the country, and it's only just beginning. In just 6 short months, there have been over $1 million in contributions and commitments, and our expectation is that 2021 will be a huge year. And you'll be hearing more about Big in our program today. Our development and our donor services efforts shifted to create new ways of connecting with donors and reach new highs for engagement levels. The creation of the Adaptive Philanthropy webinar series has elevated our donor services and created a new platform for engaging with our donors. You know, our workforce development effort launched virtually in 2020, and we've been collecting critical data elements and metrics to drive the work moving forward, and are expecting 2021 to be an important year for its work. We're working closely with both the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce, Business High Point, Guilford Works, GTCC, Say Yes, Guilford County Schools, and many others to focus our efforts on increasing our workforce competitiveness for the 21st century jobs. In addition, our grant-making efforts, while primarily focused on COVID responses, also remained very, very active. We granted out over $21.5 million to area nonprofits and close to $12.9 million to the city for the Stephen Tanger Center for the Performing Arts, which completed our $42.5 million commitment. And we look forward to opening the Tanger Center this coming fall. Despite the pandemic, gifts in 2020 exceeded all of our expectations in a very positive way, with total contributions, total contributions of close to $80 million. And now our assets exceed $300 million for the first time in our history, which speaks to the generosity of this community. And close to 70% of those assets are permanent. You know, we were founded in 1983 with a vision of creating a permanent resource for this community and for individuals to entrust with their dreams of leaving a legacy. The gifts we received this year are a clear message that we're meeting that goal. And all of these accomplishments would not be possible without our wonderful and our dedicated staff. And on behalf of our board, our donors, fund holders, nonprofits, and many other community groups that our staff works with each day, I want to say thank you. Thank you. We have a staff that worked through a very trying year, quickly adapting to new methods of working and alternative ways of engaging with the community. And it's obvious we did not miss a beat. And thank you all again for all of your hard work and for your dedication. And now I'd like to turn the meeting over to our president, Walker Sanders, who will introduce a couple of our board members to present the 2021 winners of the Calvin A. Michaels Community Service Award and the Thornton H. Brooks Leadership Award. And after the awards presentation, he has some very exciting news to share that happened just last year that truly will change Greensboro for many generations to come.
Thank you, Anita. I too am very proud of the work of the foundation, and the role of our volunteer leadership has never been more critical. And I also want to thank you, Anita, for your leadership, as well as the leadership of all of our board members for playing a vital role in our work last year. We experienced firsthand the importance of the role the foundation is asked to play and needs to play in this community. And I echo your appreciation of our wonderful and talented staff. I know I speak for our entire team when I say we are so fortunate to wake up every day to work with so many special people who want to give back to their community that has given so much to them. Because of all these special relationships and our diverse and representative board of directors, we are uniquely positioned to bring together different sectors of our community to collectively address issues, and we have seen the impact it will have on the community. Together, we really are creating lasting impact. To highlight the importance of this work and the importance of our volunteers in this leadership role, we recognize two leaders that embody this spirit. Each year, the Community Foundation selects two recipients of this most prestigious awards, the Calvin A. Michaels Community Service Award and the Thornton H. Brooks Leadership Award. We wish we could present these awards in person, but we are lucky to have comments from each of the honorees to share with you today. I've asked Tiffany Lamb Balfour to introduce the recipient of the Calvin A. Michaels Community Service Award. Tiffany is a member of our board and chairs the Professional Advisors Committee. She is also one of the founders of the Triad Pan-Asian American Network Giving Circle.
The Calvin A. Michaels Community Service Award pays tribute to those individuals in our community who have an interest in a healthy community that supports a great quality of life. They have dedicated their volunteer service to Greensboro and the larger community, thereby creating a better place for us to live and work. The recipient of the Calvin A. Michaels Community Service Award is Joyce Martin Dixon. Joyce is a Greensboro native and graduate of Bennett College. She has a long history of community service, both here and in Florida, where she lived for many years before moving back to Greensboro in 2006. Joyce, along with her late husband, were co-owners of Creative Management Technology Incorporated, a well-established federal services contracting firm headquartered in Cocoa Beach, Florida. They had two children, both of whom died at early ages, their daughter of an incurable kidney disease and their son in a plane crash. Dixon initiated Linkages to Life, an organ, tissue, and bone marrow donation awareness program through the Links Incorporated in memory of their daughter. This international program is credited with saving thousands of lives. An annual scholarship is given in their son's memory at the high school from which he graduated in Wiesbaden, Germany. In 2011, she donated $1 million to Bennett to start the Martin Dixon Intergenerational Center, designed to enhance the lifelong learning process from toddler to senior citizen. She also contributed a 14-passenger activity bus, which gives the center and the college a vehicle to use for field trips and road trips. Joyce has been a member of many service and community organizations, including the Astronauts Memorial Foundation, Commission on the Status of Women, Junior Achievement Board of Directors, the American Red Cross, the Greensboro Public Library Foundation, the Leadership Council of the American Cancer Society, the Links Incorporated, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Providence Baptist Church, the Bennett College Alumni Association, and the Hayes Taylor Memorial YMCA Board of Management. She received an honorary doctorate of humane letters from Bennett College for her philanthropy, as well as the Woman of Substance Award from Bennett. She received the Outstanding Alumna Award from the United Negro College Fund and was named Woman of Distinction from Brevard County, Florida. Joyce prepared some remarks to be read on her behalf today.
It is a distinct honor to receive the Calvin A. Michaels Community Service Award. When receiving an award that calls attention to someone else's caliber of contributions, it gives the recipient a reason to celebrate, and celebrate I plan to do. How, you ask? By first of all sharing with you how I became eligible for the heartwarming title, Community Service Advocate. It all began by holding on to my mother's coattails as she went from door to door soliciting funds for the Mother's March of Dimes and other causes. When she was not fundraising, she was registering people to vote. My dad reminded us, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Parents do matter and children are observant. My community service has included helping children reach their full educational potential, assisting at homeless shelters, and promoting organ, tissue, and bone marrow transplantation. To the Community Foundation of Greater Greensboro, thank you for this service award. I feel like you should be on the receiving end.
Joyce, this community has been on the receiving end of your generosity, and today we celebrate you.
Thank you, Tiffany, and thank you for the tremendous leadership you are providing our board in leading TPAN, one of our new giving circles, and we are so excited about the impact it will have on expanding our impact to more areas of the community. For our second award, I've asked Adrian Starks to introduce the recipient of our Thornton H. Brooks Leadership Award. Adrian is also a member of our board and chairs the Grants Committee. Additionally, he is active member of the Expanding Community Giving Initiative and is a founding donor to the Black Investments in Greensboro Equity Fund.
The Thornton H. Brooks Leadership Award recognizes individuals who have devoted extraordinary volunteer service and leadership to the development of the Community Foundation of Greater Greensboro. The recipient of the Thornton H. Brooks Leadership Award is Dr. Suresh Chandra. Suresh has embraced Greensboro since his arrival as a faculty member at North Carolina A&T State University. At North Carolina A&T, he reached a pioneering milestone by becoming the first person of Indian origin to be appointed Dean of a College of Engineering in the United States in 1974. Suresh's passion for and commitment to Greensboro stems from his early experiences as an immigrant where he was embraced by the Greensboro community. And as a longtime member of the Triad Hindu Temple, Hindu Society of North Carolina, he has been actively engaged in promoting interfaith dialogue and understanding throughout the Triad. He has also been an active community volunteer as a member of the Board of Trustees of the Shepherd Center of Greensboro, a nonprofit interfaith organization that helps older adults pursue independent and active lives. Suresh was selected for participation in the Interfaith Society mission to Israel in March 2016. Suresh actively advocates and promotes a belief in the Community Foundation of Greater Greensboro's role as the hub of philanthropic activity that brings Greensboro together across all of our multicultural diversity. Recently, Suresh and his wife, Jane, established the Suresh and Jane Chandra Fund as an unrestricted endowment at CFGG. The gift cemented their passion for Greensboro and established a philanthropic legacy that enables CFGG to give as needs evolve over time. Please listen to Suresh as he accepts the award.
Greetings from Jacksonville, Florida, where I have been living for about a year. And before coming here, my wife and I were in the beautiful city of Greensboro, North Carolina for 49 years. And during these approximately 5 decades, I was singularly fortunate to be associated with two important entities. One, North Carolina A&T State University, where I served as department chairman, dean of the College of Engineering, research professor, and professor emeritus. And two, the Community Foundation of Greater Greensboro, where I was associated with a number of groups, including the board of directors. Now, there is no dispute in my mind or in anybody else's mind, as far as I know, that the Community Foundation has served as an indispensable entity in the economic, social, and cultural development of Greater Greensboro. However, there is a challenge, an existential challenge, that has assumed a certain urgency in the last few years. And that is the challenge of racial harmony. Never in my life have I seen our country being so divided and polarized. And so it is imperative that we do everything we can to eliminate racial strife, societal inequities, bigotry, and intolerance for views that are different from ours. Now, this is a formidable challenge. I know that, I accept it, but this is something that we have to do. We have to undertake this task if we want to live in a society that we can be very proud of. So I want to thank you very much for the Thornton Brooks Leadership Award. I'm most grateful to you for it, and I feel deeply honored. And so thanks again, and Godspeed in your efforts to build a better society that we can be proud of. Thank you.
Suresh, Thornton H. Brooks was an exemplary servant leader and served the foundation in any way asked of him. I can say the same of you and thank you for your leadership. Through your endowment, you have established a permanent legacy that uses the expertise and resources of the Community Foundation to be sure grants are made in areas around racial justice, community engagement, and civic leadership. All areas you have embraced here in Greensboro.
Thank you, Adrian, and thank you as well for your leadership to our board and for the numerous ways you give back. Your leadership to our grants committee is getting ready for some significant investments, and you are the right person to be leading it. You heard from Anita earlier that the assets we now manage exceed $300 million. This is in due in large part to several bequests that were made to the Community Foundation in 2020. These bequests were the most generous of any single year in the history of our organization and will surely have a substantial impact on the quality of life in our community for generations to come. This year's annual report highlights 3 very special bequests from dedicated members of our community and a new strategic endowment. You've heard us talk about other strategic endowments, the Public Art Endowment, the Women to Women Endowment, and the Ann Lineweaver Future Fund Endowment. Our newest endowment is the Black Investments in Greensboro Equity Fund, which is known as the Big Equity Fund. This endowment will fund projects in the Black community. It is the only one we know of in the country, and the excitement around it is inspiring. This endowment is about more than making significant grants. It is about leaving a legacy that will enable generations of Black leaders to build on their rich history of philanthropy and invest in the issues most important to the Black community, as determined by the Black community. I want to especially thank Mae Douglas and Hank Smith for their extraordinary leadership in this effort. You can read more about this exciting initiative in our annual report and about how you too can be big. The first of the 3 bequests from individuals I'd like to mention is Royce Reynolds. Royce's bequest was to add to his existing endowments for Greensboro Urban Ministries and the Salvation Army and create a new endowment for the old North State Council of the Boy Scouts of America. Both Royce and Jane have done so much for this community over the years. It is hard to mention all of the organizations they've supported. However, their philanthropy was always guided by their faith, and their organizations they supported all shared their religious beliefs. I will always remember Royce telling me that everything he had was because of his faith, and it belonged to others that would carry on God's work. I have very fond memories of Royce, and his legacy will leave fond memories in this community for generations. The second is Barbara Kretzer, who left her IRA to the Community Foundation to be used to create 2 donor-advised funds with her children as the advisors. One of the benefits of working at the Community Foundation is you get to meet people like Barbara. She was one of the finest people I have ever met. She approached everything and everyone with class. She was humble, honest, and extremely kind-hearted. There wasn't a friend we talked to after her death that wouldn't tear up when speaking about her. She was the kind of person that comes into your life and never leaves your heart. She was passionate about philanthropy, especially in the arts, and she wanted to pass this legacy on to her children to carry on in their own way their family's very generous spirit. And the third individual is Charles Buddy Weil. All right, now I have to go off script here a little bit. These 3 people that I knew well, who were friends and mentors of mine, without tearing up is a challenge. But their stories are so inspiring, I feel lucky to get to tell them and talk about each of their respective legacies. Now, the last story is about my good friend Buddy. Buddy and I always had a running joke that he would outlive me. And for a while there, I thought the odds were in his favor. Right before he moved to Wellspring, Buddy kept having these falls, which obviously concerned all of us. When visiting him in the hospital, I commented that if he kept hitting his head, the odds of him winning our bet was declining, to which he replied, "Walker, I have a very hard head." Having served on the Community Foundation's Real Estate Management Committee, and as a former member of its board of directors, Buddy was keenly aware of how the foundation could help him leave a legacy of supporting care for the elderly population in Greensboro. With no heirs at his passing, Buddy left this community a generous bequest for the express purpose of creating a permanent field of interest endowment, the Charles Buddy Weil Charitable Fund. This fund will award grants for capital expansions and improvements of facilities that support elder care and health care. It is not customary for us to talk about the amounts left to us, and we were not sure how to handle this, not just due to its size, but the obvious impact it will have on the community for generations. But the message it would send to the community was very important. And based on those conversations we had with Maxine Fisher, his longtime assistant, and practically a daughter to him, and me, we felt this was something Buddy would think was very important to do. I can recall a conversation with him about doing a major gift during his lifetime, and that if he wanted, he could even do so anonymously, which will allow him to enjoy the benefits of his philanthropy. He told me that he didn't need his name in the spotlight. And if it was, he said, people would likely mispronounce it. But at the appropriate time, he said, it was something that he hoped would inspire others to do something similar. He then smiled and asked me if I knew how much James B. Duke endowed the Duke Endowment with in 1928, to which I returned the smile and simply nodded. The Duke Endowment was started with an initial gift of $40 million and is now valued at $2 billion in assets. Well, I'm pleased to announce that our dear friend Buddy has left his entire estate to the Community Foundation for the benefit of the city that he loves so much, to generously create the Charles Buddy Weil Charitable Fund with a gift of $50 million. Well, this is when making this kind of announcement virtually is hard because I can't see the reaction on everyone's faces, but I am sure it is the same as mine. A native of Greensboro, Buddy enjoyed a successful career in insurance and real estate. He owned and operated Weil Investment Company and served as president and CEO of Robinson Weil, which his father had founded in 1911. Outside of work, he was an active member of real estate industry, higher education, healthcare, and charitable organizations based in Greensboro and across North Carolina, often serving in leadership or officer positions within several at the same time. We've put together a video that captures what made Buddy so special. Please join me in watching it now.
Uncle Buddy was someone that cared about everybody. He was a friend to everybody. He was a mentor to everybody. That's why I started calling him Uncle Buddy. He was looking after my best interests. And it was easy to love somebody that you know that loves you.
I mean, he had the nickname Buddy for a reason. He was everybody's friend.
He was so interested in everybody and everything. He would talk to any worker at Cone and was genuinely interested in what they were doing, their role, and he made them feel so valued.
He didn't dabble. He was all in. Whatever he did, he was full bore. And I don't know that that wasn't obvious, but that was the thing I appreciated the most about Buddy is anything he did to the nth degree.
He was a Boy Scout. He was trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, and reverent. He grew up in Greensboro, and he was committed to Greensboro.
Buddy was so humble. He really didn't want his name. He didn't want to have any big honors or any accolades. He just didn't want that kind of recognition. He just wanted to get the job done.
Buddy cleaned his own gutters until he was in his 80s. And if you go around to the back of that house, that's a 2-story house plus an attic, a full attic plus a basement. So from the back, that's a 4-story structure. And he had an extension ladder that he extended with a rope 4 stories high, and in his 80s, he was climbing up that ladder and cleaning his own gutters. And that's the way he was. I mean, he was all in. He never let up. He just did everything to the nines, and that's what I loved about him.
The one thing about Buddy Weil that a lot of people did not see is how many people he helped behind the scenes. I would go to his office very often just to glean some information from him to be a better business person, to be a better individual. But sometimes people would leave, and I would ask Buddy, who they would be leaving as I was coming in. I said, Buddy, I didn't recognize that individual. Were they here for business? And he said, no, I was just helping them out. They needed some money, and I helped them out. And that was one thing that I don't think a lot of people knew about Buddy, and that he was very philanthropic in non-public ways.
He went to Chapel Hill, and then he enlisted in World War II, and he was in the Tank Corps. He fought in the Battle of the Bulge. He won the Purple Heart. And then he came back to Chapel Hill and finished his degree in business. And according to Maxine, and I never knew this, he got accepted to law school. And the one thing he wanted to do more than anything else, according to Maxine, was to become a lawyer. And right after he had applied and become accepted, his dad fell into ill health. And so his dad said, Buddy, you need to come back to Greensboro and learn this business. It was Robbins and Weil insurance and real estate. So Buddy's, I say his education got short. His undergraduate education didn't get short, but he never got to go to law school.
Well, I only had one job offer, and that was my father who put me to work as part of the company he had created and formed a year before.
And what did he have you doing?
Selling real estate.
So did you enjoy that?
Yes.
We started talking about how are we going to celebrate our 100th anniversary as a club, which would have been in 2017. And Bobby Bain made the point that let's make the next big thing a really big thing. And that resonated with me, and Uncle Buddy wasn't at Rotary that day, so I called him afterwards, and I went over what the board was discussing about the 100th anniversary, and that Bobby Bain said, let's make the next big thing a really big thing. He said, John, the Rotary Club of Greensboro needs to honor the commitments that it has already made. I knew what Buddy meant, that we had to honor our commitments. And so in 2015, the team, Bernie Mann and Ray Covington and the team, started meeting every Monday at 5 o'clock to build the Rotary Carousel. It was May of 2017, and it was time for all of our donors to be picking their animals. And there was one called the military horse. It was white, kind of an off-white, had a flag on it, U.S. flag on it. And Buddy said, "Maxine, does that look okay to you?" And she says, "I like the fact that it's a light color." He says, "Okay, I want that horse."
I can't think of Buddy without thinking of Maxine. And Maxine Fisher was Buddy's assistant for 40 years. And if you got Buddy, you always got Maxine. And that was one of the best things about working with Buddy, was the combo platter. You got Buddy, you got Maxine. And I'm sure the other guys would agree with that. I mean, she was and is fabulous. And Buddy's life would not have been the same without her. Just would not. So when I remember him, I remember her. They were a team. I never could quite figure out what to describe Maxine's job as. Somehow executive assistant or whatever you came up with didn't quite do her justice. I mean, she was kind of like a silent partner. Just to tell you what Investors of Greensboro is, it is a stock investment club. And it was 25 guys who I think knew each other business-wise who said, let's find a way to get together socially. So they started this club, and it still exists, and it still meets the second Thursday of every month. And you put in a little money a month, and you create a pot, and you get together, and you pick stocks. I think it was a great way for Buddy to socialize and meet people. And I think one of the joys that Buddy had with investors was that he was in it so long, he got to meet a lot of young people. It was a way for him to stay young. Buddy was the treasurer of investors for, I think, 29 years. And of course, if you knew Buddy, he was the perfect treasurer. And if you knew Buddy, he was perfect because you also got Maxine. But they together, he in particular, did a great job. And, you know, Buddy was such a precise person. I mean, we have a capital budget for the money that you put in the stock market. You have the R&D budget, which was our joking term for the drinks and the dinner, which we call research and development, which was the R&D budget. So Buddy kept the capital budget and the R&D budget. He would come in with reports every month, and it was to the T. He could tell you how much we spent each year for dinner. He could tell me how much a drink cost. I mean, he was the ideal treasurer.
Buddy knew that ageism exists in this country, and he saw there was not a lot of funding, especially locally, for aging services. And I think he wanted to be part of the solution.
He had the same friends that he watched get old. I mean, you know what I mean? He was a community guy, and he had a kind of a circle of friends that he saw age, and I think he sort of was involved in their journey. So I mean, I think it's very appropriate that he chose the elderly and the aging. I almost would have predicted that.
Buddy was a big believer in the Community Foundation's mission. He believed it was the best resource to distribute his funds.
He loved the Community Foundation. We had a lot of conversations about it. He thought it was a great organization. I think he loved the flexibility of it. I think he loved the ability of it to have someone follow your wishes.
He was proud of what he had founded at Wellspring. He was proud of this continuing care retirement community and what it had become and what it meant to so many people in their later years. And he was proud for what he did for this organization in terms of so many negotiations with the state, negotiations with the county at the time, and then ultimately negotiations with the city to make things happen here on this campus.
I'm not the only one in the community that really misses that man, and I'll continue to miss him, and I just want to hopefully honor his legacy as the years go by.
Buddy will be remembered not by just what he did as a business person in this town, but what he did as a volunteer. And if we could all learn from that, if we could all take from that our personal involvement, whether it be in city, county government, or civic organizations, or religious organizations, or any organization devoted to the common good, if we could take that away from Buddy's legacy, we would be a better community.
I imagine that many of you are wondering what inspired Buddy to make this gift and create this particular field of interest fund with the foundation. And you heard from his friends and associates in the video and can draw your own conclusions. I think his vision became clear while we were building his sister's park, LeBauer Park. Carolyn LeBauer was Buddy's sister. During construction, Buddy and I would drive around the site, and everyone knows Buddy loved real estate and construction projects. And I would talk about all the community input we had in the design. He asked me one day if I or the Community Foundation ever had any experience in building parks. I laughed and replied, not specifically. While we had some involvement with Center City Park, we were not leading the design efforts. However, what makes the Community Foundation unique is whether it is a park or a performing arts center or something in the area of elder care, we have the necessary relationships and humility to get the right people around the table to be sure it is done right and professionally. And over time, the ability to have the right relationships within the community is going to be critical for the ongoing success of any permanent fund. The Community Foundation is created for this very purpose. We are not going away. We are permanent. Thank you, Buddy, for the love of Greensboro and the foundation. I'm excited for what this gift will mean for this community. This is truly an historic moment for this community. I can remember conversations with Cynthia Doyle, Roger Souls, Bo Carter, Shirley Fry, Joan Bleetenthal, and many other of our founding board members about their dream of a permanent resource that is forever evolving as our community needs it to. That has never been more evident than it is right now. And I can't think of a more important time for this message. This message that you heard from the Big Equity Fund and these special bequests is that the time to invest in your community has never been more important. Each of these stories is different and each impactful in their own special way. But the common thread woven throughout is community and giving back to the community that has given so much to you. Over the years, you hear of these large gifts to multi-billion-dollar endowments or to large national organizations to address global issues. But if you want to truly change the world, start with your local community. And with your Community Foundation, you have the resources to make the ordinary extraordinary. And to paraphrase Margaret Mead, in the end, isn't that all that really matters? I can't tell you how excited we are for the future of Greensboro. We have a community that is welcoming, a community that cares, and a community ready to say, this is our time. We look forward to talking to you about your dream and how we can help make sure that it happens. This is your community that gave so much to you and your family. Now it's your turn to give back. It's a good thing we're not in person because you all know me well enough to know that I sure would be passing a hat around the room right now. On behalf of all of our staff, thank you for letting us have the best jobs in Greensboro, helping you turn your vision into reality, and helping you make your dreams come true.
Wow. Walker, thank you for those remarks. What inspiring stories and what a special time to live in Greensboro. You know, we know that 2021 will not be without its challenges, but we look forward to addressing and overcoming those challenges. And together we'll make a profound impact that will be felt for generations to come. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I'd like to thank you again for your support and your commitment to make our community a welcoming and thriving place for all of us. As we talked about today, it has never been more important for all of us to get engaged and give back to our community, the community that we love. Regardless of the size of your dream or the boldness of your vision, your community foundation is ready to help make it a reality. And I stand here today in the Price Bryan Performance Place in LeBauer Park, looking across the street. I'm excited to say that we look forward to seeing all of you in person at next year's annual meeting in your new Performing Arts Center, the Stephen Tanger Center for the Performing Arts. Thank you again for virtually attending.
This is the ad-lib part of our program where Anita and I get to enjoy something in honor of Buddy. We're enjoying these rum tumbies that Buddy was known for. What's it called? It's a rum tumbie.
No, Jumbie.
Oh, Jumbie. Okay, rum tumbly. Rum tumbly. Chummy? Oh,
Rum
I'm sorry. Jumbie or
Rum
Jumbie?
J-U-M-B-I.
Okay,
Jumbie.
all right.
Rum Jumbie.
Oh,
So,
is
all
the
right.
camera rolling?
We'll do that. We'll worry about it later. This is made in honor of Buddy. Buddy was known for this wherever. He'd go play golf, he'd make these drinks. So it has lots of rum,
Oh, okay.
a lot of extra rum,
Ooh.
orange juice, pineapple juice, simple syrup, lime.
Sounds like a great drink. Cheers, buddy. Woo!